Hey, afternoon. We're
Good
back.
afternoon.
We're back.
I know. And we
on-
said that we would be, and we booked it in our diary, and here we are.
Yeah, we were actually professional for a change. We put it in a diary and everything.
Spaniel is in her crate.
There's no deliveries due.
Can't guarantee that.
That's all right. That's all right. So yeah, we're back in for a second episode. And I think today we decided to talk about what is a relatively hot topic at the moment, I think, around the agility circle, and that is reactivity and dogs. Let's say dogs leaving the ring, either to go into another ring or just to leave the ring generally to get out of the ring, that sort of bits and pieces.
Yeah.
And people's what's the word? I think people's reactions to that as well. So
Yeah,
how, do people actually realize that their dog is doing things or not, or do they choose to ignore it, or are they trying to do something about it? Those sort of things.
Yeah, and I think reactivity and leaving the ring is not always the same thing, but I think they are quite closely linked. But yeah, we'll try and get it in all to the whole same subject.
Yeah. So yeah, just we'll go straight onto that from a reactivity point of view. I think people have a perception that reactivity means vicious or dangerous or ever, but there is other ways of reacting as well. Some dogs have different reactivity as well. So some dogs withdraw, or some dogs will shy away, or those sort of things as well. So we don't want to get down the whole route of reactivity being generally horrible.
Yeah, it is generally a reaction to their environment. I used to describe it as a reaction to a stimuli. And I think that is the definition in the dictionary as well. So, and like you say, I think the ones that are missed are the dogs that shut down quite a lot.
So there's a lot of talk about reactivity, as in dogs lunging, barking, leaving the ring to chase other dogs, and those sort of bits and pieces where people see that as a thing. But also, we just need to make sure that everybody knows that's not necessarily always a sign of reactivity.
No.
But I think that's the subject that I think that's where we're going to go with this one, because that seems to be the general
one.
Topic.
And I think there was a post on Agility Net which kind of sparked us to talk about it, where there was over kind of 300 odd comments. I was actually at Dogs in Need, really lovely day, fenced environments, and I was ring partying on Saturday, and was very, very much aware that it is, I believe, definitely happening more than it used to. Definitely. So it is a massively thing. I was in a grade 1 to 2 ring, and next door was a grade 1 to 2 ring as well. And there was actually a crash barrier. And there was probably only, I don't know, about a foot underneath. And a dog left the ring next door and came through to chase. And that dog was determined. There was absolutely, everybody had it very, very well. I'm not here to criticize anybody else, but the incident happened, did go in the incident book and everything else. So definitely I've become aware of more dogs leaving the ring. And I had a role of, it was quite good for the ring manager, actually. He gave me the role of queue management.
Queue management.
Queue management, and because there was enough of us to manage the queue. And what really, really surprised me, Stuart, so for those that weren't at Dogs That Need, there's generally like quite big walkways. So we tried to have the person going into the ring on the edge of the ring, somebody on the start line, probably at least 5 meters away, and then the queue back the other side of the walkway. So we kept the walkway free so that people could walk through. The amount of people that unwittingly, without kind of even really knowing about it, that stood behind the box, probably what we was trying to call our quiet area, just before they were going in, and they were like, oh, we didn't walk the course, we're just having a look, and their dogs were just sniffing and everything else. And most people did move, But I did get some resistance of like, well, I've got every right to stand here. And I kind of handled that really well. So I think it is sometimes that people are unaware of what they're causing.
Yeah, I agree. I think we're going to say, are they unaware of it, or are they used to it so much that they don't sort of recognize it as an issue anymore, because they've just sort of got used to it?
I mean, the rings that I was on, you know, I don't help, maybe not as much as I should, but I don't help massively. But being a 1 to 2 ring, I think maybe they were unaware. The resistance I felt was from those that felt that they had the right to just stand where they want, and who the hell am I to ask them just to, and I'm quite polite, you know, I'm not I try and like, please could you move, you know, the other dog needs space around them, and I don't know whether I found, obviously you run big dogs more than I do, but I found the big dog queue more stressy than the little dog queue.
I can see that a little bit. I can see that, definitely. I don't know whether that's because they're more visual, that you can
maybe, I mean, if a big dog barks, you tend to see it more, don't you?
Yes, so whereas a little dog barking, you can hear it as such, but it doesn't look necessarily as bad as what it would do as a big dog.
I want to add as well, there were a lot of people that were in total control of their dogs. And I think they did outweigh the minority. So there were a lot of people that were very respectful of space and watching their own space and everything else. Going back to reactive dogs, so we'll talk about the kind of lunging, barking, don't like other dogs in their space and everything else. Lots and lots of people do lots of work with these dogs, and I think that's amazing. One of the things that I do have an issue with is that how often are these dogs, and I don't want to sweep the statement because loads and loads of people do loads of good stuff. But how often are these dogs exposed off lead around other dogs? That's got to be my question number one, because it's an old technique, isn't it, called flooding? Where people try and get over reactivity to flood. So is the only time that reactive dogs are put in this situation, is that just agility? In which case I think it's incorrect. You know, I think that those dogs, say you'll speak to people like, oh yeah, I avoid dogs on walks and that sort of thing. And also the level of obedience, I believe, that reactive dogs need.
I mean, I think you can see that a lot around. I mean, it's a tough one as well, because like I say, people do a lot about what they can do.
And I'm not saying that these dogs don't need space. Yes, of course they need space, but should, and I think for me the answer is yes. I think a reactive dog should be able to get, if it's going to be off lead around other dogs, it should be at a stage where you can drop that dog into a down, call it into a middle, and have an emergency stop.
I agree. I agree with that. But I also know, for, let's say, with my own dogs, if I take my own dogs for part of it, experienced dogs, agility wise, well behaved, you know, everywhere else, but there are certain like exercise areas, and I think the exercise area is, I think it's a 50-50 with me. I keep them on the lead quite a lot. One, because I don't trust other dogs that are around, so I want to keep my dogs on the lead, so I only let them off if I can see that there's plenty of space and it's free to do so. And also, I don't think that I could 100% guarantee that every one of them, some of them will, but every one of them would come back if I call them back. But if I put them into an agility environment, they are 100% under control. So the balance of the,
I get that.
so the balance is, yes, I'm going to admit that a couple of my dogs haven't got a 100% recall.
No, my spaniel ran in the other day. I get
Okay,
that.
but if I put them into the agility environment, into an agility ring, then they know what they're doing and they will do exactly what I'm asking them to do at that point.
Yeah, into a work mode.
Yes.
So in their
So
head.
I get what you're saying, that they should have recalls, they should have this.
Actually, right, so that's a valid point. Shouldn't every single agility dog have that under test?
I would.
Do you know what I mean? Not even
so when you're going into the agility ring, then your dog should be able to perform those certain behaviors under control in that ring.
But should that also include recall?
Well, yeah, so that's what I'm saying. In the ring,
in the ring, that's what I'm talking about.
So in the ring, yeah. So in the ring, my dog will come back, my dog will do whatever he wants to do.
Even
whatever I want him to do.
Even my first trained agility dog, my worst trained dog, and I have to be honest, Herbie, the first time ever I took him with my trainer, we were just going to reward him in the ring, was I think it was at GT May, and he ran across the Masters ring. I literally released him and he went, and someone said to me, oh, yeah, you need to work on recall, and it was quite frowned upon, which I get, I understand that. So yes, this does happen, but I think we've kind of, again, we've gone off like we always do, but I think I read somewhere that in certain countries, agility dogs are not allowed to go into agility without their citizenship.
They've had their test. Yeah, equivalent, I suppose, equivalent to our good citizens, bronze, silver, gold, all those sort of bits and pieces. Unless you've got that certificate, then you're not. I don't think you're even allowed to join a club.
No. So I think we definitely agree on the fact that there needs under test, off lead. That you need to. So I used to, as you know, run Beth. I was told never to compete her because she was reactive. I actually had to train a lot of her drive out. Because I used to, while I was doing an agility course in training, I would suddenly drop her into a down or call her into a middle or use my emergency stop. And she did actually get non-reactive around other dogs because of the work that I ploughed into her. That said, if a dog ploughed into her in the ring, it never happened, fortunately.
No.
But if it did, I think she would have gone back. But then what dog wouldn't?
Yeah, exactly. So that's the flip side, isn't it? That you've got a dog that could, and that's so. Excuse me. If a dog comes into the ring with your dog already in the ring, that dog coming into the ring might not be aggressive in any way, shape, or form. It might just be excited and wants to come and see whatever is going on. But then your dog might be reactive, but under control because you know what they can and cannot do. And then they turn around to the dog that's just come in, and then who is that? Where the fault lies. Who is that? Where does that come into it? The other dog coming in, the dog running into the ring wasn't necessarily reactive.
No.
But they were reacting to a situation. We had dogs in need. There was a few dogs that got out of gardens as well. Oh, okay.
Which is another problem.
Yeah.
That's pretty standard, isn't it? I mean, I don't leave my dogs in the garden anyway. Like if I'm not there.
If we're going anywhere, they get put away, in their crates or in the caravan or whatever that is at that point.
Okay, so should we talk about maybe what happens if your dog leaves the ring? So firstly, what reasons would a dog leave the ring for? So you're under test, a dog goes to leave the ring. He's got probably one to chase the dog next door.
Oh yeah. Could be looking for the food van. Treats, whatever, somebody sat ringside with a sandwich or a whatever that is.
Generally nice dog behavior. Maybe appeasement behavior.
It could be fear or stress, anxiety of what's going on in the ring, noises, all those sort of bits and pieces. Something happens in the ring. I've seen that before, when you know, a banner might flap in the wind somewhere and then the dog takes off and, you know.
Yeah, and that's quite worrying, isn't it? Because their tails go under them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so I suppose we're looking like, I suppose we're going back to the very beginning when we were saying about reactivity isn't necessarily an aggressive behavior. They are just reacting to a situation that they, in a way that they feel suits that situation, I suppose. So then but then we have to know, or we should or shouldn't put our dogs into those situations unless we are, I'm not going to say 100% because none of us ever are, but we're 99.9% sure that my dog is able to
come back,
cope with that situation.
Yeah. And I wonder how, so obviously since COVID, we've had a lot of online agility training, which is fantastic. You know, there are a lot of courses out there available that are really, really good. And a lot of self-trained dogs that are good agility dogs, you know, they're really good. But I wonder how many of those dogs or whether people that do that actually will then put their dog into a class situation before going to a show.
Yeah. I mean, that's the other part for me, you know, having a group situation where you can test all of these challenges or issues or whatever you want to say out first. And that's what I'm doing with Link now, my young dog at the moment. We're getting to the realms of going, okay, now I'm going to start entering some competitions, probably jump in with just so we can get a few runs in. But I am now seeking out or trying to find places that we can go to that he doesn't know the dogs that are in there. He doesn't necessarily know the people that are in there. It's a different venue. So then I can test to see whether he is okay with doing that. Going into an open space with other dogs and concentrating on what he should be doing, not what he thinks he's going to do, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes total sense. And
I know a lot of people, obviously we've got shows coming in now with fenced rings and all that sort of stuff, which I feel I'm very sort of on the fence, pun intended, with whether that's a good thing or not, having fenced rings. So I used, obviously we have A4A at the moment, which a lot of their rings are fenced, and I used that for Link to go on his first ever sort of experience in the agility ring, because I was like, okay, fenced ring, so that's going to give me a little bit more security, and if he does decide to leave the ring, I've got more chance of correcting that. Or if somebody else's dog decides to come into the ring, I've got more chance of sort of rescuing the situation. So for me, it was a good thing. But for some people, I think it's an easy option for them to not train. Because they can now go, I can go to a fence ring because then my dog will not run out of the ring. What we should be saying is, I don't care whether the ring's fenced or not, they shouldn't be going out or trying to get out.
It's exactly that. You need, and if you are,
but I think that comes down to experience, though, from a trainer's point of view.
I think if you've got that fear in your head, then that answers your question. Your dog's not show ready.
Yes.
You know,
but you've also got to have, at some point, you've got to test that.
Yes, I realise that, but I think that should be. I definitely think that's where the fence rings come into themselves, but with not with a training run, so that you can reward in the ring, so that you can, I like to set dogs up for success. So I've started a group which is for agility problems. So we don't train in agility dogs. I've got people in there with reactive dogs. I've got people in there with start line weight problems, etc. And I would categorically say to them, right, okay, we think that we've sorted this out. Now go to an independent ring, go and reward 2 jumps, go and reward your start line, go and reward your weaves, go and do this to try. And so that's where I think fence rings come into themselves. I think the other thing with fence rings, I know me and you touched on it together, was like Dawn Weaver, where the Fab venue has actually got a fence. You can actually the start and finish line, so it's totally enclosed. Now, I took 2 clients up to Fab. Both dogs in training have proved that they can do hoolies and piss off.
Yeah.
I said to him, let's go up there. The first time we went in the rings, I went in with them so that we were just rewarding a jump and everything. But what I found really, really important with that, which is what you mentioned, was it gave the handler confidence.
Yes.
So then the dogs performed better.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. But
Because
you've got to, but from a
off.
trainer's point of view, you were there to guide and advise and, you know, assist them in any way that you can. But a lot of people haven't got that.
No.
So they're just going into the ring going, well, I'm just going to give it a go and see what happens.
Yeah.
And then things go wrong, but they go, but that's okay because the ring was fenced.
Yeah. So we kind of like, does that make it that we should have like stronger guidelines? I mean, they're not all kennel club shows, but some stronger organisation guidelines.
Yeah.
That actually says that your dog should be, well, I guess it says under control. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe people read it, or maybe, like you say, people just go, "Oh, it'll be all right."
Yeah, I think there was the guideline. The problem is with guidelines and let's say rules or things that we have to follow. I think there comes a cost implementation to that at some point. Whereas if you're going to test people to see whether they are capable of going into a ring or doing agility, somebody has got to instruct that. Somebody has got to test that. So then you've got to think about
that already sits there, doesn't it? Because we've got the good citizenship scheme.
And I suppose we've also got, it's a tough one as well, because I was just thinking then you've also got in that ring, you are testing their ability. So as a judge, we should be able to go, that dog's not ready to be in here. But then where does that go? So how does that
and you know what? I feel so sorry for our judges right now.
And I've just literally just passed my judge's exam.
I couldn't do it, Stuart. Honestly, it's like football refereeing. You know, I listen to people round the rings and going, this course is shit. I don't want to do that. And it's okay to have that opinion, but it's not okay to say that in an outside voice.
Yeah. If you're having a private conversation with somebody somewhere, you know, and you've got your opinion about it, that's absolutely fine. Or if you've got a valid point that is down to something like safety or whatever, then go and voice that opinion. Yeah. Go and voice that opinion to the correct.
And how many judges are confident, and this really upsets me a little bit. Like, I don't mean like boo-hoo, but I just think, you know, coming from the horse world, right? If a horse is lame, the judge will, without question, turn around and say, your horse is lame, could you leave the ring, please? That owner would say, no problem, thank you very much. Yeah. Or your horse is out of control, can you leave the ring? To be honest with you, most horse people, if their horse is going potty, would go out anyway. Yeah. But judges should be able to feel comfortable enough to say, I don't think your dog's suitable to be in the ring.
Yeah.
Or your dog's lame, or let's leave. And I think it's getting better. I do think that judges are getting more confident because they feel more supported, I hope. But, you know, it's a hell of a lot to put on a judge, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. So there's
before the judge. I mean, you will probably say it to your clients. I say it to my clients. So I've got one girl she's got a lovely collie. She is like a natural agility dog. She didn't do agility. This dog, his weeds were trained within like 3 weeks. It's fantastic. And I'm lucky enough to have a double menage.
Yeah.
And so we fence that off, and we have 2 classes running together. Yeah. Well, this dog had always been in a single class. So it'd been in a class group, but only one dog in there at a time. So I said to her, let's fit in 2 rings together. The dog, nice dog, absolutely fixated on the other dog in the ring.
Yeah.
Absolutely out of control. Nothing I could do, nothing she could do. Went over the fence, chased the other dog. Fortunately, when it got there, the other dog wasn't affected. The collie did absolutely nothing. It was all in the chase for the collie.
Yeah.
And I was able to say to her, I'm really sorry, but until we solve this situation, you can't go to competition.
Yeah.
You know, and she's fully on board and everything else. But do trainers do that? So we've also got the people that train fun agility. I think competitive agility would, but you've got people that train agility for fun.
Yeah. I mean, but then again, I think we had this on when we first did our first podcast about, and that comes down to responsibility. So
dogs are your own responsibility, aren't they?
Yeah, 100%. So yes, we can put the onus on the judge to say, I don't think your dog's ready to be in the ring. Yes, we can get an agility trainer to say, I don't think your dog's going to be able to go in the ring. But if that person chooses to ignore that and go to it in the ring anyway, we can't do anything about that.
No.
And I've seen it at shows before when a dog has left a ring to chase or do whatever, and then 3 hours later you see it in another ring doing exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
Now, if I did that with my dog, if my dog ran out of the ring on the first run, and I'd be like, okay, we're not doing that again today.
Yeah. Yeah, because you'd want to get to know why, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
You know,
but some people, it just seems to be they don't even recognize it as an issue. Dog runs out of the ring, they call it back, put it on a lead, take it away, and then come back again later and then try again.
Yeah, and it's probably a really lovely dog, but the thing that concerns me is, firstly, you've got the people that have pumped in a lot of work into their reactive dog, trying to keep their reactive dog safe. But secondly, you could actually ruin an agility career from another dog.
Yeah.
That is absolutely bizarre. I think if Kippy ever got chased in the ring, I think it would destroy him completely.
Yeah.
Shut down.
Yeah.
But
I don't know.
And
I guess what we're saying is we'd like to get other people's opinions on this, I think.
Yeah, I think so. I think it would be really interesting to have our listeners go quite quiet. We get thumbs up, don't we?
Yeah.
So in the comments, yes, definitely.
Definitely in the comments, let us know what, and maybe you have got a reactive dog that you are trying to do, get,
While we're on that as well, it would be really, so as you know, I do behaviour work as well. I get a lot of people that come to me that say, my clinical behaviourist has told me to do something with my dog and have recommended agility.
Yeah.
The first thing that I say is, I think they're wrong. Yeah. I think you need to go and do some scent work or something that brings the arousal levels down, opposed to bringing the arousal levels up.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really interesting point with reactive dogs. And we're not talking experienced people with reactive dogs. We're talking with people that probably, maybe have got their reactive dog first or anything. Interesting question, quickly. I know we're waffling on a little bit here. Right. Do you think a dog with bite history, be it human or dog, should compete?
I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say no.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, isn't it?
Yeah, but then I suppose the bite history has to go down to what that situation was. What caused that dog to bite in the first place?
I'm not sure. I'm going to sit on the fence. I just think if
I would say my gut reaction is to say no.
Yeah,
but then I'm sort of saying, but what situation was it that caused the dog to bite?
But the dog has proven under stress that it will bite. And I'm not talking a little nip when you're chasing or anything. I'm talking bite history, drawn blood.
I would say.
For me, I think it's a no.
Yeah. If it's that sort of aggressive and it's that, that reactive, then I would say no to me.
And I'd be really, really open to comments on other people's opinions on that, because I did sit on the fence there for a little bit, but I do think that if a dog has bite history, I mean, we know that any dog can prove that, under massive amount of stress, it's going to bite.
And we get those dogs sometimes that nip and jump and nip.
Yeah, that's different. I'm talking a dog that has caused injury through biting, be it on another dog or on a human, should that be off lead in an agility environment? Be really, really interested to hear everybody's comments.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I agree.
Perfect.
And on that note, we'll leave it there.
Yeah,
I think we can get. That's all right. I think we'll get.
On that note,
hopefully
we've lost all our listeners.
Yeah, we'll get some good comments on that, and it's good to have everybody's opinions and everybody's thoughts on it. So I think something about activity, something has to be done somewhere, and we have to make. I think it has to be. I know it's highlighted quite a lot anyway, but it's highlighted, I think, in the wrong way because people just on there.
Yeah.
Whereas I think we need to have a discussion about it. What can we do about it? What's the best way to lead people the right way?
And you're listening to us for the first time, please be aware that your dog needs to be under control. Yeah,
I agree.
Perfect.
Right, and on that note, we shall leave it there.
See you later.
See you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.